Today I have this wreath ring that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's a 16-inch diameter, and I paid $6.99. I'm going to start by painting the entire ring with some Wise Owl Snow Owl chalk synthesis paint. I will paint one side, and when that is finished, I will flip it over and paint the other side so that the entire wreath ring is fully covered with the Wise Owl Snow Owl. Next, I have these two pieces of wood. They are 11 inches by 2 inches, and I'm going to paint them using some Wise Owl chocolate. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint the front, and then while that is finished drying, I will flip it over and paint the other side. I also have these Jenga blocks. I have 2 here, but I'm going to need a total of 4, and I painted the entire Jenga block with the Wise Owl chocolate as well. Now, once everything is fully dry, I'm going to take a 220 grit sandpaper and just do a light sanding. If you want this heavily distressed, you can do that as well. And this is just going to smooth out the paint. And you want to just remove all that sanding dust. Now, I sanded these pieces of wood as well, and I just wanted to show you when you sand your paint how you can tell that it was sanded. Now, on the right side, I had applied some of the Wise Owl furniture salve, and that just kind of helps bring the paint back to its original color and gives it a nice finish. Now, I have these wooden leaves. I had grabbed these from Hobby Lobby, I believe, last year. I did see them this year, and I'm going to put 4 leaves on one of the blocks of wood, and then I decided to take the wood word gather that I have with these little vine wood cutouts. I got this from a pack at Target, and I'm going to just glue those with the hot glue onto the board. Now, I did wax before I glued. You should always wax last, but sometimes with the more intricate cutouts, it's hard to get in all the crevices. Now, you can really add any design of your choice to these pieces. Both sides of these pieces of wood will be exposed, and I wanted it to look presentable from both ends. Regardless of how you want to display your project, it'll look finished on both sides. And you can also use some Elmer's wood glue. That holds really well as well. Now, once I had all the paint dried and everything in place, I grabbed these Floral Picks from Target. They came in their own little bundles, and I'm basically just splitting them in half. If you pull all the ends of the different artificial florals, will have a wire stem, and I'm just ripping the bundles in half and making 2 piles. And then I'm going to take my first pile and then split that in half again. So at the end, I want to have a total of 4 small piles that have kind of the same arrangement in each bundle. And I love working with the wired artificial florals, because you can bend them to fit around your ring. And I'm just cutting the stems a little shorter. I do not need them that long. And I'm just using my metal cutting shears, which work really well for cutting this thick wire. I have these small clear zip ties that I found at Dollar Tree, and once I have my bundle together, I'm going to take the zip tie to just hold them all together. You can also just use the green floral wire. Sometimes the zip tie is just easier to work with, and you can pull it nice and tight. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing on the second bundle. And you want to kind of lay them how you want them placed, because once you pull that zip tie nice and tight, it's kind of hard to move them around. And I'm going to place them on my wreath ring, one on the left side and one on the right side. And then I'm going to secure those to the ring using a zip tie as well. And you just want to trim the excess zip tie off so that it's not that noticeable. And I repeated the same thing with the second bundle. Now, if the zip tie is not long enough, you can connect two together. And that's what I had to do. It was getting a little thick. So here we have the two bundles on the wreath ring, and you can just kind of shape those to wrap around the ring nicely. Now I flipped it over and I repeated the same exact thing on the other side. Again, I kind of want to create this so that whether you're looking at the project from the front or the back side, it is finished on both sides. If you're going to be displaying it up against the wall, you do not have to do the same exact thing on the back end. So this is what we have so far. Now, some of the branches were a little more floppy and didn't really have that wire inside to bend them, so I'm just taking a zip tie to kind of position those how I want it. If you don't mind them flopping all over, you do not have to add the zip tie, but I kind of just hid it under there so you didn't even notice it, but it gave the branches a little bit more of a shape around the wreath ring. Next, I'm going to take my Elmer's wood glue, and I'm going to add a little bit of the wood glue to the bottom of the ring, and I'm going to add my first wood sign that said gather on the front. And then I'm going to flip it over and add more wood glue on the other side and add my second sign with the leaves. You can add a little bit of hot glue for an instant hold. So now I have the wood on both the front and back side of the ring, and I have these small clamps that you could just clamp this in place until the wood glue dries. Now on the bottom, to help it stand, I took the Jenga blocks that we painted and just added them on both sides of the piece of wood. I'm going to take some jute, which you can also get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start on the left side here, and I'm just going to wrap the jute around that little empty space from where the wire stems are zip tied in place, and I'm just going to keep wrapping, and this is going to help cover the wire stems and also the zip ties. Now you can do a thicker jute if you'd like, and once I wrapped it completely to have that area covered, I'm just going to glue it in place and then cut the extra roll of jute off. So this is what we have at the top. I got this plastic terrarium planter from Dollar Tree. They usually have them every year, and I'm going to add a piece of jute through the hanger and wrap it at the top, so now the plastic planter is hanging in the center of the wreath ring. I have these pre-made bows, and I grab these from Dollar Tree as well. Anytime I see a pre-made bow, I try to grab a few. It's just a nice, easy finishing touch to a project, especially if you are not the best at making them yourself. And I added one on both ends. And this is what we have, and you can set it on your table and fill the plastic planter with a little votive. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Paint products, tissue paper, transfers, and mesh stencils can all be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com. And don't forget, you can also check out other tutorials on our webpage as well. Have a great day.